Continuing with part 6. The place where she suddenly appeared. But how did she know where to go? And here's the reason. Hillis was sitting, contemplating the plan for the next steps. Suddenly, there was a familiar scent. It was Axian's. For the first time, she could sense it from such a distance. So, she immediately teleported. Back to the present. They converged. As soon as Axian saw Hillis, he sensed a powerful force. But upon seeing the two of them, Hillis had questions in her mind. They quickly explained that Violetta had requested Axian to teleport them back to Kaliacia. After hearing the explanation, Hillis told Violetta that she would lead her back and dismissed Axian. Returning to Kaliacia's house, Terzo coincidentally encountered the leader of the Montana family. The Montana leader came here because her granddaughter had business at Kaliacia's house. But as they looked at each other, they bid farewell. Passing by, the Montana leader reminded Terzo that his actions were too obvious, and the betrayal of Violetta happened sooner than planned. Terzo asserted his position, stating that she did not give him orders, hoping she wouldn't mistake that. Returning to the room to enjoy a good glass of wine, there was a loud noise outside. It was Violetta. She scolded him for daring to take the gem outside. Did he know how Mago suffered when creating it? Terzo, unimpressed, refused to answer. Violetta couldn't bear it. She raised her hand to slap Terzo, who resisted and replied, "Aren't despicable people the ones who do horrible things?" This confirmed the start of a war between the two. Turning away, a strong scent filled the air. Terzo may have underestimated it. Unexpectedly, Violetta was accompanied by Hillis. But there was still one more question. Why was this scent so heavy? Enodon could become stronger during blooming, but not to this extent. And Hillis was officially in Terzo's sights. The scene shifts to Mago, who is captive. A guard is keeping watch over Mago. Seeing the situation, Mago thinks that Aunt Violetta may have encountered something. So, he asks the guard. With his discerning eye, Mago realizes the answer is a lie. Shortly after, Hillis visits Mago. Mago acts like Hillis' puppy. After a brief talk, they head to the feast. Upon arrival, Hillis thinks about Mago, who has suffered so much. She reassures Mago and leads him into the party. Even before the figure becomes clear, someone recognizes them. Chris rushes over to greet them. Asserting himself after absorbing the power of Kaliacia, he faces Hillis. He demands to talk privately now, as Chris has memories closely tied to Hillis. About to touch Hillis, the small guard Mago intervenes. He fiercely protects Hillis. Seeing this, everyone starts talking about them. Hillis, seeing the situation, affirms that she is also a protector for Mago. Hillis walked past Chris as if nothing had happened, affirming to him, "So, you enjoy embracing virtual fantasies, huh?" But in the end, there's only one outcome. Upon entering the party, there were many familiar faces. First was the Montana family, who encountered Mago. The Montana leader turned away upon seeing him, and Hillis was sure that she knew about Mago's Eye of Truth. There were also other familiar faces, such as Axian. Upon meeting Hillis, he passionately kissed her, leaving everyone in awe. Even Mago shed tears. And that marked the beginning of the hunting festival. Somewhere in a dark underground chamber, Diego Enodon could be seen with an aged appearance. Facing him was a cunning lady. Diego shouted, questioning why he was imprisoned here. She replied, teasing that he looked rather bored compared to his son. Observing Diego's reaction, she commented on his apparent indifference to his daughter. Mentioning Hillis, she triggered horrifying memories in Diego, making him beg in horror. She, too, had those memories. All paths led to Hillis. Back at the Burzet mansion, Miss Gabriel was crying uncontrollably. But she immediately stopped upon hearing the news of her father and brother's disappearance. Axian questioned her about leaving Enodon, but Gabriel couldn't remember anything. Gabriel's appearance reminded Axian of an unpleasant image, emitting a murderous aura. Gabriel used Hillis' name as a shield, but before she could finish her sentence, Axian grabbed her collar, threatening her with death. In reality, Gabriel just wanted to apologize to Hillis. Hearing this, Axian said nothing and silently walked away. It turned out he teleported to a place with a monstrous underground chamber. But looking around, it seemed abandoned, with all traces erased. Nevertheless, that didn't deter Axian. He raised his hand, shattering the room to uncover its secrets. As for Hillis, she also sensed a power from Axian. They were enjoying an afternoon tea when a nobleman approached, questioning why she was alone and where the other Enodon members were. Hearing this, people were shocked that someone dared to speak such words in front of Hillis. Hillis couldn't comprehend such foolishness. She retorted, suggesting he might have hearing problems not to know the situation. Regardless, he had to choose his words carefully not to dirty her ears, otherwise, he would lose his mouth. Despite the warning, he tried to explain that he didn't understand the Enoden situation. Losing patience, Hillis created a rope under his feet. Seeing his imminent demise, he ran. The authority and power attracted animals from the nearby forest, creating a magnificent scene. Meanwhile, there was an envious gaze directed at Hillis. With the recent events, rumors about the increasing strength of the Enoden and Parvian leaders had spread, causing speculation. Transitioning to Chris. He is furious over Hillis, questioning why she chose Axion. Chris's obsession with Hillis is truly immense, fueled by misinterpreted memories that led him to believe Hillis belonged to him. As he sat back down, a faint scent lingered, and Lady Hillis unexpectedly appeared. Without exchanging greetings, Hillis directly asked Chris what he had sacrificed to earn Kaliash's tears. Chris, hearing this, eagerly agreed and requested a fair exchange of questions. However, Hillis disagreed, stating that in the situation, only she would be asking questions, and Chris's only right was to answer. Chris had no choice but to comply with Hillis' terms. However, he truly couldn't provide answers to Hillis, as he had used a psychic oath that brought dire consequences for those who violated it. Feeling unable to extract any information from Chris, Hillis placed her hand on Chris's head. Both of them teleported to the sea. Hillis dropped him, advising him to contemplate his actions. In desperation, Chris shouted, "I used to be everything to you, but why treat me like this now?" Hillis disappeared into thin air, telling him that perhaps he enjoyed living in imagination. Back at the Enoden mansion, Hillis was contemplating how difficult it was to extract information from Chris when Axion suddenly arrived. Astonished by Hillis' enchanting beauty, Axion rushed to give her a passionate kiss. He shared that he had encountered Gabriel Enoden today. Thinking about Gabriel's words, Axion wanted to take responsibility and resolve everything so that Hillis wouldn't have to worry. Hearing this, Hillis asked Axion if he felt sorry for Gabriel. Axion believed that seeing a helpless and pitiable girl trapped in such a place made him feel sympathetic. Judging by Hillis' reaction, Axion was certain that she was jealous. He reassured her that she was the only one he cherished, and he would always choose her. Hillis, in turn, made the same choice. After their intimate moment, Axion stealthily left to find Gabriel. However, Hillis had hidden a seed of suspicion within Axion. Immediately noticing Axion's departure, she pursued him. Encountering Gabriel, who rushed towards Hillis, crying and expressing anguish for her sister. But Hillis only asked a simple question: "Did you eat anything strange when you were imprisoned?" Without waiting for Gabriel to answer, she reached out and touched her face to verify. However, it seemed too late. Gabriel suddenly apologized to Hillis for the past, a fragment of memory shattered. But by now, the words were too little, too late. To Hillis, Gabriel was no different than a dead person. This extreme desperation shattered Gabriel's dreamlike soul. Transitioning to the hunting party. Terzo's plan was beginning to unfold, especially with the ostentation of Hillis' power, making other nobles crave such strength. However, the truth behind this power was not easily attainable. Kaliash's tears only affected the 4 major noble families, but blood was a different story, showcasing how it influenced Hillis. Switching to Axion, he receives news that the Seine River has been destroyed and dried up. This immediately makes him think of his mother, and the act seems too ominous, giving him a bad premonition. Returning to the mysterious mansion, while wandering in thought, he suddenly notices a peculiar hole. Without much thought, he gives it a swift punch, thinking it might be faster than trying to figure out what fits into it. A strange underground chamber appears before Axion. Returning to Violetta, she is trying to trace Terzo's footsteps. Suddenly, Cordelia appears out of nowhere, asking Violetta about the current situation of the hunting competition. However, Violetta is not really interested in the competition, she is solely focused on Terzo's trail. Looking at the other girl, a member of the Motana family and a close friend of Violetta, she hopes Cordelia won't betray her. Cordelia confidently responds that she has no reason to make Violetta sad. However, her words, spoken so innocently, cannot escape the eye of truth. It's hard to believe she would say lie so naive with such sincerity. Transitioning to Hillis, she is strolling with Mago. However, Mago, in her innocent way, asks if Hillis likes the eldest of the Berger clan and if she will marry him as everyone says. Hillis replies that liking each other doesn't necessarily mean marriage, life isn't like a fairy tale. As she says this, the young man in question appears. He warns Hillis that changing plans would ruin his intentions. Hearing this, Mago is flustered, expressing her desire to be Hillis' second person. Suddenly, a familiar and strange scent wafts in, not Axion's, but his mother's. She has come to meet Hillis, questioning her about the uniqueness of her scent. Hillis, not wanting to beat around the bush, encourages her to get straight to the point. Axian's mother wants to present a gift to Hillis, a dazzling box with a magnificent glow. Transitioning to Terzo and Chris. The two of them seem to have something secretive going on. Terzo asks Chris to come down to transport some goods. However, Chris refuses to go down into the cellar with Terzo and waits outside. After a while, as Terzo goes down, Chris stealthily follows. Once downstairs, a foul stench greets Chris. After walking for a while, Chris encounters Axian. Both question each other about why they are there. However, Chris's cruelty is overwhelming. He wants to kill Axian, believing that without him, Hillis would be his. Chris then unleashes a burst of power, for the first time matching Axian's strength. The two engage in a fierce battle, causing the ground to shake and unintentionally releasing a horde of monsters. Despite their enmity, Chris and Axian find themselves becoming allies against the monsters. Trying to fight back, they turn the situation around, and everything seems to be under control. But is everything really okay after the recent seismic disturbance? Back to Hillis, Axian's mother is teasing her, mentioning that the treasure has drained the Seine River. However, there is also a familiar scent at that location, so she assumes Hillis might be interested in it. Regardless, Hillis remains silent. The mother suggests that if Hillis doesn't want it, she can cancel it. Saying so, she immediately activates her unique ability, launching a relentless attack. Seeing the immense power of Hillis, she questions whether Hillis' strength is awakened from the Inoden family or from the tears. Afterward, Hillis stops toying with her and decisively restrains her. Recovering the box, Hillis has been deceived, finding nothing inside. The supposed treasure is actually the ring worn on the mother's finger. However, a sudden sound from somewhere startles them. The ghostly creatures flood the area. They react strongly to supernatural abilities. While trying to resist them, Axian's mother intervenes, asking Hillis not to abandon her after coming this far. She suggests playing a treasure hunt game together. Hillis smirks, touches her shoulder, and they both teleport. They land right in the middle of the battle. Hillis forcefully restrains the mother, immediately confiscates the ring, and the fragrance of roses fills the air. The monsters are drawn closer, bowing before the esteemed Hillis. It was as if all things were kneeling before their king. And this concludes part 7. See you in the next part. Peace.